The Vanishing Hitchhiker. It was 2 in the morning, dead quiet. The kind of night where fog sits so low on the highway that your headlights barely cut through it. David had been driving for 3 hours straight, tired, coffee gone cold, radio cutting in and out from the storm. 40 minutes from home. All he wanted was his bed. Then he saw her. A girl standing at the edge of the road. White dress, completely soaked, dark hair plastered against her face. Thumb raised. She looked terrified, not just cold, not just wet. Something was genuinely wrong. And David, against every instinct screaming inside his head, pulled over. She got in the back seat, gave him an address 15 miles ahead. He turned the heat up because she was shivering, tried small talk. She answered in one word, Emma. That was her name. Everything else she let go quiet. 20 minutes later, he pulled up to the address. Small, white house, porch light on. He turned around to tell her they had arrived. The back seat was empty. Door never opened. Window never moved. She was simply gone. The only proof she had ever existed was a faint, damp patch on the seat. He knocked on the house door. An older woman answered, eyes heavy with years of grief. David described the girl. White dress, dark hair, Emma. The woman's face went completely still. "That's my daughter," she whispered. "She died on that highway. 10 years ago tonight. Bloody Mary." Every sleepover eventually reaches that moment. The lights go off. Someone dares someone else. And suddenly 6 terrified kids are crowded around a bathroom mirror whispering a dead woman's name into the dark. Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary. The legend says she appears in the glass, a woman with hollow, sunken eyes, a face that looks like it has been through something no human should survive, hands pressing outward from the other side of the mirror like the glass is the only thing keeping her contained. Nobody agrees on who she actually was. Some say she was a queen who lost every child she ever carried and went slowly mad from grief. Some say she was a village woman falsely accused of witchcraft and burned alive while the whole town watched. Some say she was a mother who looked into a mirror at the wrong moment and saw something staring back that was not her reflection, and she never recovered. The details shift depending on who is telling the story and how dark the room is. But every single version has one thing in common. The moment you say the name the 3rd time, you feel it. A change in the air, a drop in temperature, the sense that the darkness behind the glass is no longer empty. Most people run before they find out what happens next. The ones who stay and look, they tell a very different kind of story, usually with the lights on, usually never alone again. The Hookman. 2 teenagers, a dark road, a car parked far enough from everything that nobody would notice. The radio was on low, the windows were fogging up, and everything was exactly the kind of normal that makes what happened next so impossible to explain. Then the broadcast cut in. Emergency alert. A patient had escaped from the state asylum located 12 miles east. Considered extremely dangerous. Most identifying feature, his right hand had been surgically replaced with a large metal hook following an incident the broadcaster did not describe. The girl said they should leave. The boy laughed it off. Then they heard it. Faint at first. A scraping sound along the outside of the car door, like metal dragging slowly across metal. The boy stopped laughing. He started the car and drove. Fast. Neither of them spoke the entire way home. When they finally pulled into her driveway and stepped out of the car, they both saw it at the same moment. Hanging from the passenger door handle, torn clean off at the joint, still slightly warm. A hook. He had been standing right outside her window, the whole time, and the only reason they were alive to find it was because the boy had driven away before he could finish what he came to do. The babysitter and the man upstairs. She was 16, responsible, the kind of girl every parent in the neighborhood trusted without question. The family had left by 7. Kids were asleep by 8. By 9, she was on the couch, television low, phone nearby, completely relaxed. Then it rang. She answered. A man's voice, low and deliberate, asked if she had checked on the children. She assumed it was a prank and hung up. It rang again. Same voice, same question. Had she checked on the children? She hung up again and sat up straighter. The third call, she threatened to call the police. The fourth call, she did. The officer who answered told her to keep him on the line if it happened again so they could trace it. It happened again. She kept him talking. 30 seconds later, the officer called back on another line. His voice was different. Tight. Controlled in the way voices get when someone is trying very hard not to cause panic. He told her to get out of the house immediately. Do not go upstairs. Do not stop for anything. Just get out. She asked him why. He told her the calls were coming from the upstairs extension. There was someone in the house. There had been someone in the house the entire evening, one floor above the sleeping children, picking up the phone and waiting. The Slender Man. He appears at the edge of photographs, just barely visible between the trees, or standing at the far end of a parking lot, or reflected faintly in a dark window behind whoever is being photographed. Impossibly tall, arms too long for his body. No face, just a pale, smooth oval where features should be. Black suit, completely still, always watching. He is drawn to children specifically, in ways nobody has ever been able to fully explain. They see him first in dreams, then at the window, then standing in the yard at night when everyone else is asleep. They start drawing him obsessively, the same tall, featureless figure over and over in the margins of school notebooks. They stop sleeping. They stop eating. They start walking toward the tree line at odd hours, and one day they simply do not come back. The forest has them. He has them. The story began as an internet creation in 2009, a piece of deliberate fiction. But something about it reached into people in a way that fiction is not supposed to. Children began genuinely believing. Adults began genuinely fearing. And in 2014, two 12-year-old girls stabbed their friend 19 times in a Wisconsin forest and told police they did it for him. That is when the legend stopped being a story and became something else entirely. The Russian sleep experiment. 5 political prisoners, a sealed, airtight chamber, an experimental stimulant gas pumped in continuously, designed to keep them awake for 30 days straight. The reward for surviving was freedom. For the first 5 days, everything was normal. Conversation, pacing, the ordinary restlessness of confinement. By day 9, the conversation stopped and the paranoia started. They stopped talking to each other and began whispering directly into the wall microphones, reporting each other, detailing elaborate fears they refused to speak aloud to another person. By day 15, the screaming started. Loud, sustained, horrifying screaming that lasted for hours and then stopped completely. The silence that followed was somehow worse. When researchers finally opened the chamber on day 30, what was inside no longer resembled the 5 men who had entered. They had done things to themselves, things the original report refused to describe specifically. 3 were still alive. When the sedative was administered for surgery, they fought it with a strength that made no physical sense and begged with complete sincerity to be put back in the chamber. One of them, strapped to the operating table, looked at the doctor above him and said something that ended that particular research program permanently. "We are what you made us. We are what happens when you take away the ability to sleep and leave only the thing that was always underneath." The black-eyed children. They always come after dark, always in pairs, always children, somewhere between 8 and 12 years old, standing at your front door or tapping on your car window with their heads slightly down, faces not quite visible. Their voices are flat, rehearsed. They ask to come inside. They need to use the phone. They are cold. They just need a minute. The requests are always ordinary. The feeling they produce is not. Every person who has encountered them describes the same thing before they even see the eyes. An overwhelming wave of dread. Pure animal fear. The kind that bypasses rational thought entirely and goes straight to the part of the brain that is responsible for keeping you alive. Then they look up. Their eyes are entirely black. No white, no iris, no pupil. Just solid black from edge to edge, like the eye socket is filled with something that is not an eye. And the requests continue in that same flat voice. Can we come in? We just need a minute. Please let us in. The ones who open the door are not the ones telling this story. The ones telling this story are the ones who slammed the door, locked it, turned off every light, and sat in the dark until morning, convinced that whatever was outside was still there. Most of them were right.